Welcome to part 1 of the Using Graphic Mode tutorial. Now that you know how to use automatic mode, let's take a look at AutoTune's graphical mode. In this tutorial, we'll look at some graphical mode controls, features, and get set up and track our performance. You access graphical mode by clicking the Graphic Correction Mode button at the top of the display. Graphic mode looks and works completely different as compared to automatic mode. Here you can make exact adjustments to any part of your performance and really fine-tune it by using the large graphical display. The top row of controls function just as they do in automatic mode and are explained in detail in the Welcome to AutoTune tutorial, so please view that tutorial if you're unsure of what these are for. Okay, to use graphic mode, first select the input type that best describes your material. We have a male alto tenor singer, so we're going to choose alto tenor voice. Next, we should decide if we want the graphical editor to display only the notes that are in the passage's scale, or just leave its default setting, which will show all notes in the chromatic scale. For our example, we want to update the graphic display to show only notes in our scale. To do this, you must know the key of the passage, and our example is in A major. So we just toggle back to automatic mode and set the key like so. Now when we go back to the graphic mode, we'll see that the graphic display only shows notes that are in the key of A major. This has no audible effect on the audio, it just visually helps when editing your audio in graphic mode. Also, if you detune your scale using the Scale Detune dial, the graphic mode scale display will also adjust to represent the change. Okay, now that we have the input type and scale set, we can get ready to track our passage. Setting the clock here in the bottom left corner is important, as it will determine how AutoTune functions when tracking and correcting your material in graphic mode. If your host application provides valid time information to plugins, make sure host is engaged. If you're not sure if your host supplies valid clock information, here's a way to tell. Click the host button and put your host application into play mode. If AutoTune 5 is receiving valid time information from your host, the position display should constantly update to reflect your current position in the track. Moving forward or backward in the track should result in corresponding display changes. If this is in fact happening, you now know your host timing info is valid. Now just leave the clock setting on host, and you will be able to access all of AutoTune's features. On the other hand, if the display does not update, or if it does not accurately reflect your host transport, AutoTune 5 may be getting bad or no clock information at all. In this case, you'll need to use the internal clock option and operate AutoTune like it worked in previous versions. In this mode, you will not be able to navigate around your audio while tracking, as we just described, and you should either track all of your audio at once or track an individual section, then correct it, and bounce the changes. Then you can move on to the next section and repeat the process. Okay, let's set up our track to record some audio. Since our host application is sending valid clock, we'll just make sure the host button is engaged and then click the track pitch button located here. This will place AutoTune in a waiting state. Now we just press record and have our singer lay down his part. Remember, you can do this as you're tracking vocals or after they've been recorded. It works the same in both situations. AutoTune will now track your performance and draw a curve for you in real time. Oh yeah! This red curve is the actual pitch of your performance and will be used as a guide when retuning it in graphic mode. Again, the position readout here shows in minutes and seconds where in your timeline you are during the tracking process. When our passage is finished playing, we just press stop, then click the track button again. The passage will now be auto-zoomed to fit our graphic display. Also, the entire tracked performance is shown below in the envelope graph display. This displays the amplitude or loudness of the track audio. If for some reason you don't want to keep the tracking information you just captured and wish to say retrack another take, you can click the Clear All button, which will delete your current pitch tracking data. When doing this, you're asked if you're sure this is what you want to do, as you can't undo this operation. Okay, before we get into editing and retuning the passage, let's look at how to navigate around the graphic display. First, we have the vertical and horizontal sliders. These are used to scroll through the different octaves in your scale and to scroll through the performance timeline. You can zoom in and out on both using their corresponding plus and minus buttons. When the All button is engaged, you can also use the envelope graph display as a navigational tool. You do this by moving your mouse cursor into the area, then click dragging a selection and releasing your mouse button. This will update the graphical display to show your selection and fit it in the screen. If you want to go back to seeing it all in the screen again, just click and drag around the entire envelope graph display, like so, and release your mouse button. Now you can see the entire passage in the editor window. Clicking the tie button slaves the position of the envelope graph to that of the pitch graph. When this setting is selected, the horizontal scale or zoom level of the envelope graph is controlled by the pitch graph horizontal scale buttons. Okay, that's it for part 1 of using the graphical mode tutorial. Now you know how to select graphical mode, set its clock correctly, track your performance, and zoom in and out and navigate around your tracked performance within the graphic display. Thanks for watching.